Good morning, CBGR. How's everybody doing today? I guess we got a little bit of sun. I want to reiterate the importance of your online presence and your online resume. Coldwell Banker has a free agent website available to all agents. So if you don't have a website and you're not utilizing your online presence, please reach out to me or Edgar. What we're doing is scheduling one-on-ones with agents to get their website launched, because everybody does have access to a free website. Whether you knew it or not, you do. It's through Moxie Works, and we can show you how to navigate through Moxie and access your website. Keep it simple. But every agent should have a website, so please. Also, we're helping agents do their signature page on their email, which will include your website link. So basically, every time you email anybody, a friend, family, an associate, they're going to have access to click on a link to your website. Okay, it's very important nowadays. That's how clients look you up. They want to see your website. At the very least, it's a landing page. Okay, so you don't have to build a website to be so elaborate, but at the very least, you want a landing page to make you look professional. Okay, also, if you don't have a Google business page, that's another thing that you have to do. Okay, so my goal is by the end of April to have all agents in Alhambra to have their website launched, their email signature page established with the link to their website or whatever pertinent information you want to put there, and then also their Google business page, because Google business page is the second most visited site to look up a realtor. Okay, so that's your resume. That's where your clients are going to be able to give you reviews. Even if you're barely establishing your business page today, your clients from 10 years ago, they could still write reviews for you. So you can catch up to your resume. So again, reach out to me or Edgar and we'll help you all with all those three aspects. And then we'll move on with technology. I know it's overwhelming to some of you and it might be fearsome, but overcome that fear. You have Edgar, myself, Michelle, we'll help you through this, okay? All right. So today's training, we're going to go over zip forms. Okay, we're going to go over how to fill out and how to create a listing agreement and some of the other forms that come with it as well. In addition to that, we're going to help you how to set up and send the forms for electronic signature. Okay, and that's going to be using the zip forms new version, which is Authentisign. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. And then lastly, at the very end of this today's training, I'm going to invite a presentation from Reminder Media, which is a quick 10-minute presentation. And Reminder Media is a platform that will help you keep current with your sphere of influence. Okay, it's a marketing platform that will do all the work for you. Okay, you could do as little as you want or as much as you want. So it's cost effective for all types of production or agents with whatever production they have and stuff. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can spend a little bit of money, but it is a very good tool. I use it, and I know a lot of other agents use it. It sends postcards and emails and texts. I'll let him go into the presentation. It's going to be a short presentation, but I want to offer it to everybody because I know a lot of people are fearsome of contacting their sphere of influence.
What is that called again, Ruben? What is that called?
Reminder Media. He'll give you all the information at the end of the presentation. Okay. And I urge you guys, if you don't want to use Reminder Media, use some sort of platform that will help you reach your sphere of influence on a regular basis. Okay, that's the whole objective of this. Okay, staying top of mind. With that, I'm gonna share you guys something that I just got emailed today. Let me share my screen real quick. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so according to NAR 2022 Home Buyers and Sellers Generation Trends Report, 41% of sellers found their real estate agent through a friend, neighbor, or relative. So what's that tell you? Contact your friends, your neighbors, and relatives. Ask yourself this: does every friend that you know, every one of your friends know that you're a realtor? Does every neighbor in your, jogging or walking area know that you're a realtor? Does any relative, distant or not, know that you're a realtor? Well, they should, because refer your business because you're top of mind. But if they forget about you and forget what you do for a living, how are they going to refer you business? 41%. 26% of sellers use the agent they previously used to list or buy their home. So what's that tell you? Stay in touch with your buyers and sellers. Okay. Just because you close a transaction doesn't mean that you end the relationship with them. Continue it. 5% of sellers came from referrals or other real estate agents and brokers. And finally, 2% of sellers came through an employer or relocation company. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of statistics to back up the theory of the importance of staying in touch with your sphere of influence, okay? Cold calling, door knocking, all that other stuff is great, whatever works for you. But staying in touch with those that you know, relatives, friends, neighbors, that's going to be your best method of obtaining business. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to go ahead and move on to zip forms, and I'm going to start from the beginning so everybody knows how to log on as well. If you notice, I keep all my favorites right here, the ones I'm constantly in every day, and you guys should too. So I'll click on zip forms. And make sure you're using zip forms plus, okay? Very important. I'll go over it. I'll go over why, because we have templates that are built in zip forms plus. You're not paying for it. Coldwell Banker George Realty pays it on your behalf. So why not utilize it? So it takes the guesswork out of which forms do I need for what type of transaction, okay? Michelle, if anybody has questions over there, just let me know.
Okay. Oh, Maggie said, is there a way for you to make your screen bigger? Ruben?
It's already expanded. I'm not sure.
That's okay.
She said, okay,
Yeah, I think that's the
that's
most.
the biggest. Okay.
Yeah. So this is where you would be. This is your dashboard. It's your the main screen when you log on. All your transactions. I don't have any transactions, so they would be listed right here. Okay, so there's one, it would be 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. This is where you manage it, whether it be active, not active, you're just playing around with it or whatever. And I'll show you where you can access it from afterwards too. But basically all your transactions would be right here. Then you're going to click on new, okay? Right here. You're going to click on the appropriate transaction you're trying to fill out. Listing, purchase, new lease listing, okay? So we're going to do a listing today. Okay, for the sake of name, Anna and we like for you guys to use the actual address so we can easily reference it, okay? So I'm going to use my address where I grew up just because I know all the specifics of it, okay? For the name, you don't have to put LA, California and all that, just as long as we have the address, okay? And I'm going from the beginning, okay? So you guys can go through it. So basically, I'm just putting in the address information, right? Then right here, it's going to ask me for what kind of transaction I'm going to be creating. I'm going to be creating a residential listing, okay? Then remember I told you about broker edition and why it's so important. So right down here, it says select template. If you don't have this you don't have this option, that means you're in the wrong zip forms edition. Okay, and see me and I'll make sure that you have the right edition. Everybody does have access to it. You're just not probably accessing it properly. So when you click on templates, you have commercial lease, commercial listing, commercial purchase. We'll go to residential listing, lease listing, and we're going to click on residential listing. Okay. And you save it. It takes a while for it to create, so don't get
Unstable internet. Mhm.
The better.
Yeah, it was like that yesterday too.
Yeah, it's a little slow. So now it created it, okay? It created the actual transaction, but now we have to go into the documents, okay? But before you go into documents, you don't have to do this, but I think it's good practice, so I recommend it. You go to parties first, okay? Now, I'm in here, obviously, right? Ruben Perez, there's a home warranty that's by default, it comes up, but you can take that out if you want. And I'm gonna go to who do I want in the transaction, right? So we're doing a listing agreement. So we're gonna pick seller one. Okay, I'm just gonna put one seller. Okay. If you have all this information, I urge you to put it in, at least the email and then maybe the
Mhm.
cell phone, because it's gonna build a database for this transaction. So that way you can easily access their information. I'm gonna put my personal email just for the sake of e-signing. But this is where you would put your seller's information, and I'll just put my cell phone number right there, okay? Now, if it's an entity or a trust or something, you would put the trust name up here, okay? But the representative that's signing would be down here. So if it was ABC Homes, I would put ABC Homes up here, right? No cell phone number, no email, but the person who is representing, then I would put my name here with my email and my cell phone number. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, we're gonna go, let me move this a little bit. There we go. Click save. Now we're gonna go to seller two. Okay. I'm gonna put two seller. Whoops. Cell phone, I'm just gonna put the address, whoops. The phone number here. And then email, I'm gonna use Edgar's email, just in case. Okay, and we save it. So now we have myself as the listing agent, and then we have the first seller and the second seller, husband and wife, right? Let's just call it. All right, now we're gonna go to documents. That's the only parties involved right now, right? Because I'm barely getting the listing. So if there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 sellers, you're just dealing with the seller and the listing agent, okay? Now, you don't have to do this, but I recommend everybody starting with the cover sheet, okay? Why? Because from the cover sheet, that's gonna flow into all your forms. So if you do this as your base, then most of your forms are gonna be auto-populated, okay? So we have no buyers yet, right? So we leave that blank, buyers blank, and then we have the seller's information. If you want to put in their street address and, maybe they live on the premises or not, you can, but you don't need to, okay? For the sake of training, I didn't put any of that information in there. And then here's your transaction cover sheet, okay? So make sure it's all accurate. Obviously, you don't have an MLS number yet because you're barely creating the listing, right? You'll get that later on. So let's go ahead and put the county. Okay, now you don't need all this information just yet, but the parcel number you will need, okay? So you can get this in many different ways, okay? You could search it on Google, and most likely it's going to be on Redfin or Zillow. You can you probably already had a property profile pulled because of, you're gonna list this property, or hopefully you list this property, but I'm gonna show you how to do that. Okay, again, I have my favorites here. Go to Fidelity Title. You can use whichever title company you wish you use and stuff, but I'm using this one just for. Why is it populating? There you go. So there it is. You should save this. If you're going to be listing it, you're going to need the property profile anyway. So you should save it, print it, whatever you want to do. But just for the sake of getting the APN number, it's right down here. I'm going to copy that. Go back to my zip forms. And paste it. Pretty simple.
Yep.
Now I'm going to list it today, hopefully they sign. And then let's say it's a 6-month listing. And then the list price, so I'm just going to put $1 million. Okay. You don't need all this other information. If it was a condo, you might want to get the condo dues and then get the information for the HOA as well. If it's a condo, just do your due diligence with whatever type of property it is. Okay. Okay, we keep on going. This is just some information right there. Escrow, if you want to put your escrow company, but I'm not going to do it because we don't know which escrow we're using. The other broker information, the buyer's broker, we don't know yet. We're just barely going to list it, so we don't need to do anything there. This stuff's automatically populates, so we already have that all filled out. We don't have a lender. We don't have appraisal yet. We don't have title. Now, title, it's good practice. It doesn't cost you any money. So you might as well just call your title rep of choice, whichever one you want to pick. Let's see who I have here. Okay, so I'm going to use Yolanda with WFG, right? I'm going to order a prelim. They'll do it for you. So why not just get it out of the way so you can see if the prelim is clean or if you're going to have some issues and stuff. Don't surprise your seller at the very end where like, oh, he's got mechanic liens or something that he's going to need to pay off and stuff. You might as well just get it out in the open. We don't have a pest control yet. Disclosure, same thing. You don't have, it doesn't cost you anything, so you might as well just order it. So I'm going to click on that. Oh, you might want to always put who you're using too. That says Yolanda. And over here, you would just put John Wax, right? Call them up. You'll get it within, I don't know, Michelle, what is it, like 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah, it's so fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Find out if there's any issues with the fire hardening, if it's in a fire zone. You know, that's important stuff to know. So when you're listing a property, pull the property profile, order a prelim, and order the NHD. It's not going to cost you anything. If it doesn't close, it doesn't close. That's the risk that they're willing to take and to provide you for that service. Okay. And then that's it. So now when you get to this part, now you're going to start navigating. Can everybody still see?
Yes.
Okay, now you're going to go to the right of your of the screen and you see where it says forms and documents, right? Oh, just a side note, and I'll remind I'll remember when I'm pulling in a document. There's two types in zip forms. There's a form and a document. A document is when you upload and you put into the transaction. Okay, that will not auto-populate. You're going to have to manually put signature blocks in there. And but the forms will, if you include a form, that will auto-populate. Okay, so there's two. There's a form and there's a document. Okay.
Ruben, is
Yeah.
is a sample of the document like our CBGR addendum? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to include that in this transaction and show you how you can fill it in this. But like, for instance, let's say there was another document that you wanted to import. You can add it right here. You see where it says the add button? And you could go from you upload it.
Okay.
And then, I have these pictures from yesterday, but, any document you have, like, let's say I wanted to put this document in there, I just click that document and I add it. But if I add a document, it's gonna be a document, so it won't be able to autofill. You're gonna have to fill it in yourself, okay?
Mhm.
Also, the signature blocks, it won't recognize where to put a signature block. But if you use a form, it will. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, so now we have our cover page, right? Now we're gonna add the listing agreement. You just click on this little plus sign right here,
Mhm.
and it added it right here and also to my transaction. That's the cover sheet, and there we go. Now, when you click on the listing agreement, it's gonna give you all the disclosures that you need, okay? So it's not gonna just give you the 5-page listing agreement. I think it's 5 pages. So here's the first one, it's the AD, okay? And see how it's all filled out? You don't have to do anything. I just urge you to review it, make sure that, everything's
Mhm.
the way it's supposed to be. There it is. And then there's your PRBS, right? With the seller, the 2 sellers and yourself. Wire fraud. The listing agreement, okay? For some reason, I'm not sure, it never dates it, maybe because you're not going to present it today or you just created it. But if I was going to send it today, I'd put today's date. And then everything else gets filled out. If it was a manufactured home, you would click on there. If it's a probate or something like that, you click on there. I'm not going to get into the actual form itself, the disclosure. I think Michelle's going to get into that at another session, but I just wanted to show you how to create a listing agreement and send it for e-signature. There's the price, any other additional listing terms. Here's where you would put your percentage. I'm hoping I could convince them to and charge 6%, but nowadays we're looking at more in terms of 5, but that's where you put your total commission combined with buyer and with the listing and the selling agent. Okay, you see where it automatically populates this 295 CBGR document compliance fee. That's important because now it's embedded in your RPA, so escrow will not have a problem paying it. And that's important because if they don't pay it, guess it comes out of your pocket.
So, hey, Ruben, so you can you add this information prior, right? Because all of this is auto-populating, but then you can also click on the actual document here and add, right?
Yeah, like if I want to add something,
Yeah,
yep.
I see.
It's
Alright.
just doing the work. It's doing the work for you, but you're still in full control.
Got it. It's not like you saved it and then you can't add, but you're just adding as you go at the same time.
Right. There are some documents, and I'll get to it, where you cannot control, which is the TDS, SPQ, because that can only be filled out and edited when you send it to the seller. Okay, it's intended for you not to fill it out because you don't have knowledge. You don't have that knowledge of the property. The seller does. That's his disclosure. Okay.
Hey, from your experience, are you constantly maybe changing like the information or adding on to the information?
I keep it as simple as possible. Remember, you want to make this transaction as easiest and seamless to your clients, whether it be a buyer or seller, because this is a lot of information for your average Joe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. If you have additional items, if there's solar, alarm, propane tank, anything leased or liened. Lien means that there's an amount due still. There's a loan against it. Okay. Pretty simple, right? Pretty basic. Let's just keep moving on. This is the final page. See, it fills out all the information. Who needs to sign, their email, and why is it important to put their email in the first pages, which I told you, remember the parties? Because you're going to send it to them via e-sign. So if you go to a lot of agents go to e-sign and they're like, it's not working. Well, if it doesn't have an email, how is it going to be able to work? It's going to give you errors. So that's why it's important to fill out at the very least their name, their email, and their cell phone if you have it, okay? So here's your advisories. Right? And then I'm done. So now this is that's the listing package, right? Now we're going to go over and I'm going to add in the addendum, right? Here's the addendum. That's the one I was telling you. This is a document. This form is not part of CAR. It's our form, okay? So I'm going to add it. It adds it up here, right? And then it adds it for you to view. So here, when you get here, you have to fill it in. The way you're going to fill it in is you go to the right side of your screen and you're going to go to tools. You see tools right here? Click
Hey,
on tools.
Ruben, when you added that document, it kind of went to the back of the line, right? So like you're
Yes,
going
yes,
down and then you see it at
yes, correct. And I'm adding a text box. Doesn't look very appealing, but it works. You can move it around too. Okay. Another text box. I'm going to put it right here. Now, if you wanted to make it smaller, because it's really big, just go here to your font size, make it smaller. It looks a little bit better to the eye. Yeah, I'm not going to fill in the date. Does anybody know why I'm not filling in the date? Anybody?
Yes,
Why?
because it does it when you add the signature.
Yeah, who is that? Sylvia?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so now I'm going to go.
so it does it automatically?
I'll get to that, but yeah, so I want it done automatically because if they don't sign today and they sign tomorrow, it's going to have the wrong date, right? So I want that date to be auto date with their execution of the document, okay? So now we're going to get out of tools, right? And we're going to go back to forms. Here's all our forms, and now I'm going to add the TDS. I'm not going to add all the forms because my purpose for today is just to show you guys, but obviously there's other forms that you need to send to SPQ and so forth. But the purpose of this is just to show you how to do it. So you see how it's red and not fillable. I can't do anything over here. So if I click on this, I can do stuff, right? Well, let me take that out because that date's not supposed to be there. I can't do anything. That's done purposely. That's done purposely so that I can't fill this out for the seller. The seller has to do it, okay? Also, when you're emailing this form to your seller, you might want to let him know to read it before he signs it, because if you e-sign it for him, it's just going to prompt him where to sign. It's not going to allow him to stop and read it. Okay, so he has to review it first. The e-signatures just prompt him when he hits next. It's just going to prompt him where the next field where he has to either sign or initial or click on or choose something. Okay, so just to let you know, you don't want him coming back later on saying, "Well, I didn't know what I signed." So make sure he understands what he's signing. So I'm going to leave this the way it is because there's nothing I can fill out. Okay, and then now we're going to go to prepare for signing. Okay, so now we have all our documents, right? They are all filled out. I reviewed them all, has my name, has a seller's name, both sellers' name. I have a whole package that I need to send to them. You're going to go to the very top right corner and prepare for signing. Okay? This is where the magic comes. If you want to use DocuSign, you're more than welcome to. They're not enforcing you to use Authentisign, but Authentisign is the new method that they're pushing and using, and it's free. Okay. I like it. So, oh, I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna show you why, because it's gonna send the cover sheet. I don't want the cover sheet to go. Let me cancel that. So on the right-hand side here, right? These documents are the ones that I added, right? I want to send to the seller to execute. So I'm gonna take out the cover sheet. Okay, I'm gonna exit.
Mhm.
By exiting it, I'm not throwing it in the trash. I'm just putting it back in my documents, but that's not what I want to work with and what I want to send to sign, okay? So now I can go back to prepare for signing.
Mhm.
You click
So
on,
Ruben,
and you can put it whatever folder you want. I'm just going to put it in my main folder, okay? And you create it. Give it some time. Sometimes it takes, 30, 40 seconds. It's doing its work. So now you have the forms that you want to send. There's 14 pages, okay? Now you want to add participants, okay? Who's going to sign, right? The signers. You click on that. I always go from transaction. I want to see everybody in the transaction so I make sure I don't miss anybody. And then there's the people that I have in my transaction, okay? I want seller 1, myself, and seller 2, okay? And then you click select. So now you have who is going to get it, right? Who's going to get the email to execute the signatures, the documents, okay? If you want to change this order, you just click on this little toggle right here. And I want myself to sign it first. Why? Because I want to make sure that my sellers get it, knowing that I've already reviewed it and I signed it, okay? And it's okay for them to sign now. I still want them to review the documents, but now they know that I reviewed it, okay? Now, there's something else too. This is going to go in order. See where it says 1, 2, and 3? That means that it's going to go to me first. I need to sign it in order for the second email to go out to the second seller. The first seller that signs it has to sign it before it goes to the third seller. Now, if I want everybody to get it at one time, I just change this to a 1 and this to a 1. Everybody's going to be in first position. Oh, does it only allow? Yeah, see, they're all tied. Or I can go 2 and 2. So now I'm going to sign it first. Maybe I want to sign it, and then it's going to, when you sign it, you're going to get an email saying that your AuthentiSign has been completed. Maybe I want to review it before it goes out to the other sellers or something. I'm not sure. But this is where you would change that, okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and leave it the way it is, okay? So then I am going to go to next. Actually, yes, we're going to go to next, okay? Actually, no. I'm glad I caught this. So just using AuthentiSign, all forms are going to be auto-populated where a signature is required, an initial is required, a date is required, or a check mark is required, or whatever needs to be filled out, okay? So it's automatically going to know and recognize this form and say, hey, seller 1 has to sign here, seller 2 needs to sign here, and the agent needs to sign here, okay? So it takes out the guesswork. It'll also guide the seller or the agent where to sign. So they don't need to know, where do I sign? They just click next, 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 and then they'll fully execute the document. Now, you can see all of them are already assigned. Signature blocks are assigned. Now let's go to that document now, not the form, the document that is not part of CAR, okay? There it is, right? See how I fill this in, right? So I need an auto date, right? So now we're going to go to tools, and it's color coded, telling me that this is seller number 2. And let's go to seller number 1. Now it's yellow. I need an auto date. So I want this auto date to be populated when seller 1 signs. So right here, it says auto date. Done. So when he signs, that's gonna be that date. Now we need a signature, right? So I mean initials. Initial 1. Go to number 2. Initial number 2. Done. Now I need signatures, right? Since I'm here already, I'm gonna do that. When you pull a signature, it's automatically gonna give you a date too. This is number 2, and there's a date. Let's go to the seller number 1. And the date. So, and you see how these, I'm not able to write it in at all. This is going to be sent for them to fill out. All right. Now we're going to go click on next. Here is your expiration. If you want to put an expiration, okay. Today is I don't know why it's so far off. Today, I want this to expire on the 17th, and I want them to be reminded every day at 10 a.m. that they haven't signed. Or you could just not do it. It's up to you. And then you send it. And that's it. So it went to me first. Let me see if I can execute it. Well, we don't need to execute it. You guys already know that it's sent out to me. I'm going to sign it, and then it's going to go to the seller number 1 and number 2 at the same time. They're going to execute it. Now, keep in mind this. The TDS could only be filled out by 1 seller. Okay, if there's 1 seller, there's no problem. If there's 4 sellers, the first seller that gets it, that's labeled as seller number 1, is the person that's going to fill out the transfer disclosure. That's going to be, or SPQ, or anything that has to be signed by, like the fire hardening, okay? So just know, whoever you label as seller number 1, they are going to have the task of filling out that transfer disclosure, or any disclosure that needs to be filled out by the seller. So if for instance, seller number 2, 3, and 4, they're just going to simply sign the same form, but they're not going to fill out, they're not going to duplicate filling out the TDS. So just know that one, and also let your sellers know that whoever is going to be responsible for filling out that TDS, you have to put them as seller number 1. Okay. Now, when you're all said and done, you can click on e-sign right here, right? And that's going to give you that it was sent, you see, 1 minute ago. If I sign it as an agent and it gets executed, you're going to have another envelope saying that the agent signed, completed. And then seller number 1, seller number 2, and then ultimately you're going to have a fully executed listing agreement with all the forms and documents back in your main folder. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. It's not, I don't feel that it's overwhelming. If you play with it, you don't have to have a real transaction to play with it. So just put something together, and you'll be amazed. You'll learn it within a couple hours and stuff.
Hey, Ruben,
Yep.
does the cover sheet act also like a form of a checklist? Because I see you have past, inspection reports, or, past and title, and, all these different,
I have a question.
involved. Is that a role it plays, or is there a separate checklist to make sure we're
It's not so much a checklist, just the pertinent parties of a transaction. You're going to need escrow, you're going to need title, you're going to need NHD, you're going to need an appraiser. So it's just a cover sheet, so you can have all parties associated with that transaction on one document. Now the checklist is already created for you, because when you use broker edition, the Zip Forms broker edition, it gives you all the documents, all the forms that you could possibly need for that transaction. Okay, you don't need them all, because we don't know if it's a probate or if it has a septic tank or all that. So you do have to do some homework on it, but it gives you the at least the statutory forms and also the required forms to create a listing or a purchase contract for that matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Ruben, we have a question in the room.
Yeah?
Okay,
How you create your folder, so after everybody sign, they go back to your folder?
how do you create your folder so that after everybody signs, it goes back to your folder?
I don't know if you remembered, but when I said, okay, what folder do I want it to go to? I said, I'm gonna just choose my main folder. But if you want to create a folder, you can create a folder for that specific transaction. It's not a problem. But I just put it in my main folder. So this is my main folder and all my if I had 5 transactions, 5 listings, all 5 would be
All
right.
would be there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
It's automatic.
How do you get to the main folder?
how did you get to your main folder?
So we're still in this transaction. Let me go back to list. See, I just created this one right here.
Right.
This one I already had. So if I create a new one, it's gonna be right here. If I create 5, I'm gonna have 5 more here.
So
This
that's your main folder, correct?
This is the main folder, yeah, active.
Okay.
How
See,
you create it?
You
If-
add
if-
new up here.
If you have, yeah, if you have 5 pending, they're gonna be in here. Closed, inactive, fell through, prospect, and signed, but I just put it in my active main folder.
It's active and then automatically.
So Maggie's asking to create that folder of those addresses you have. You just click the add new, right? The plus button.
Yes, correct,
Okay,
correct.
Thank you.
you're welcome. Ruben, Edgar asked me to check for the gentleman. Do you know-
Ben, let's see if he's on. Benjamin, are you on?
On the list. Ben?
Mm-mm. No,
Edgar, did you send him you did include him, right?
Yeah, he acknowledged it, yes. He's on the, he's got the link.
Yeah, he should be coming on momentarily. In the meantime, anybody have any other questions?
So
Ruben, I have a,
I do.
buy it,
oh,
it's okay, your folder.
Who's I do?
Me,
Sylvia?
Sylvia.
Yes,
Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Okay, so when you created the TDS and the seller is going to sign it, he's gonna sign it, but he can't fill it out as he's signing, right? He has to sign it digitally and then print out that form and fill it out. Is that correct?
No. So the TDS, any form that has to be signed signed and filled out by a seller, for instance, the TDS, let's just use the TDS as an example, right? The first seller, right, or the only seller for that matter, he's gonna have to sign it, initial it, and also fill it out. So when he clicks next, like next signature, it's gonna prompt him to every little checkbox that is required for him to say either yes or no. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Where you keep the folder?
where do
Peter?
you keep your folder is what Maggie's asking you, Ruben.
This is my folder right here.
But where you
So
want,
if I click on this is my here's my documents.
or under
Mhm.
document?
If I go back, it goes to my list. I only have 2. So if you have 10, you're gonna see all 10 listings right here.
Looking for is that when you click it, where's those sign items?
Peter, you had a question?
yeah, I was wondering, right now you have so many different e-sign company that you can engage in doing the DocuSigns. Okay, which company do you think is more authenticated in verifying the signatures?
Well, DocuSign is the king of
Yeah.
all electronic signatures, but you have to pay for that. And I don't think CAR would implement a platform for e-signatures if it wasn't secure and good had a good technology behind it and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think AuthentiSign, they had issues about a month ago and they fixed them. So if you want to use DocuSign, feel free to use DocuSign. There's no problem with that.
Yeah.
But I'm using AuthentiSign because it's free You know, it keeps the agent's costs down. There's no reason to have DocuSign if you have AuthentiSign. And it's the platform that ZipForms is offering and recommends.
Yeah, but in case of a lawsuit where you somebody contested the signatures, which company is easier to deal with and you know
Oh,
to
yeah.
to come
That's-
up with the authentication of the signatures? You know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
That's an attorney question, Peter. That's more on your realm of the world and stuff, you know?
That's why, you know, a lot of time for very important documents, I rather have wet signatures instead of DocuSign.
Yeah,
So,
of course, wet signatures are always the safest bet, but you know, COVID changed everything. So
yeah, I
you know,
understand.
yeah, we got used to doing everything electronically, and it's not gonna go away. So this is the new, and just go with the flow and stuff. If your client wishes to review the documents in person and have wet signatures, by all means, you know, service your clients. But a lot of the savvy and clients these days, they just do everything on their cell phone. Oh, just another note too. The TDS with all those little dots to check, when they try to do it on their phone, it can be very challenging. It could be difficult. So just let them know, because they might get frustrated and then they're gonna have to go back and say, oh, they're missing one or two and they don't know where it's at. So it's not very easy to do on your phone. I had to do it a couple of times to like really get, especially if you have a little, you know, a fat thumb or fat finger. It's very hard to click on that little button and stuff. So just let them know that might occur. Okay. All right, Benjamin, are you on?
Should that be one of my questions, Ruben, when I'm my consultation? Do you have fat thumbs or fingers?
No, just let them be aware of it and stuff. You
Hey,
know.
hey, Ruben, Jeffrey, I have a
Jeffrey,
question.
what's up?
So worst comes to worst for those seniors who doesn't, they're, you know, seniors they're not savvy for the computer, and the worst thing is that even though they have cell phone, yes, you know, there will be an issue. And if they don't have computer, probably the worst comes to worst, you're gonna have a copy of that as a paper.
Okay, let me show you guys something. So I'm gonna go back into the same transaction, okay? And I'm gonna go to my documents, right? I'm gonna click the documents that I want, right? And I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna email it. I'm not sending it to them to be signed electronically. I'm just emailing it to them. So they can view it, they can print it, wet sign it, whatever. And if they're senior citizens that don't even like to do email, at that point, then you're gonna have to print them yourself and make a visit over there and you know, do it the old school way. But you can do that. You can email them. So when you click on email, it's gonna say who you want to email it to. And I'm just gonna email it to myself. I'm gonna email it to seller one, done. And then you just send it. Oh, I have to put whatever. Gmail. And I shouldn't have done all that, but that's it. I sent it. That was just a security feature that they installed. So I just sent it to myself, to the seller. It keeps doing that. But anyways, you can email it if you don't want to send it to them for electronic signature. All right, let me see if Benjamin made it in. If you didn't, then we're gonna conclude.
Ruben,
Ruben.
it's snowing.
I have,
Yes, Catherine.
yeah, okay, Ruben, I was getting ready to say too, even though if you email it, the people will have to download it and send it back, you know, in order to email it back to you. So that would probably be a problem for some older person.
Well, like I said, there's three methods. You could send it to them for e-signature, meaning it's going to send them the documents and they're going to sign with their finger or with the click of the mouse. Okay, if they don't know how to do that or they don't feel comfortable doing that, then you can email them the documents that are not going to have the signature blocks and the auto dates and all that. It's basically the forms, And yes, they're gonna have to open it up, view it, print it, or whatever and stuff, and then sign it and get it back to you, wet signatures. They can't sign it electronically and then send it back to you. If it's not done through AuthentiSign or DocuSign, they won't accept their signatures that way, okay? Or worst case, you just print them and you know, make a drive over to their place and explain it to them and sign it like the old days, you know?
That's right. But I was just doing that because, you know, by you saying it this way, somebody, you know, some of the new people might not see that they have to go and download the stuff again in order for it to come back to us. You see what I'm saying?
Well, they're only gonna download the forms if they're gonna print them and sign them. To view them and
Right, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, of course. They're gonna have to download them to print them. And then once they print them, they you know, put a wet signature on there and then they could return them to you that way.
Yeah, so
Right.
I think to clarify, Catherine and maybe Ruben, the e-signature, they don't have to download. It just, when you click on it, it opens up the forms and then, you know, you sign it
Oh,
electronically.
yeah, that way. Yeah, that way. But I was saying it because he was saying they could email it to them to look at it or whatever, or wet sign it. But if they wet sign it, they will have to upload it again. I mean, you know, put it, what am I trying to say? They're gonna have to download it again to send it back to you.
Hmm.
And if they don't have a printer or a scanner to scan that stuff back in, there's a problem. You're gonna have to go out there.
Yeah, well, obviously every situation's unique. If they don't have those capabilities and they don't want to go download it, sign it, and then scan it back in and send it to you, then you know you're gonna have to drive out there and pick it up or send or take them a copy. So it all depends.
Yeah, that's why.
You know?
Yeah, that's why we have those options. We have three options: either e-sign or email or you create a paper and bring it to your client. Those are options.
Excuse me, Ruben, you can also download my Genius Scan on your phone, and that's a scanner. And also your notes on your phone has the scanner. And
Right,
also
but-
your camera has the scanner, so you can just scan those or they can download those too. They can use their notes because it has the scanner, and also their you know, their camera on their phone has a scanner. So that you
Correct.
don't have to go to your home. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Thanks, Patricia. But I think Catherine was getting to what the other party, the sellers, don't have those capabilities. And if they don't have those capabilities, you're gonna have to, you know, get them those documents and signed and picked up, you know, unfortunately, but
Hey, the guest is named Nolan and he's here, Ruben.
okay.
FYI.
I'm gonna hand it off to Nolan. He's with Reminder Media. I think they're great. It's a great platform to keep in constant contact with your sphere of influence. Remember, that's the best way for you guys to continually get business and stuff. So without further ado, it's Nolan, right?
Amen. Yes, that's right, Ruben. Thanks for having me jump in here. Is it okay if I share my screen with you guys?
Yeah. Michelle, you're gonna have to share your give them co-host.
No, I did, Ruben.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's turned off. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
You should try now.
Yeah, same thing. That's strange.
Edgar,
Ruben, can you end yours? Just
I did.
Okay, and then I'm gonna check on him. 1 second.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys. And if I may, this isn't TMI. I'm usually on camera. Today, guys, I'm running a 101 fever. So you're not getting the prettiest looking Nolan. So I'm gonna stay off camera. So you don't have to look at my my shell of a self, but I'll share my screen. So see if this is coming up okay for you guys now, okay?
there we go.
Yes.
Is that working? All right, very good. Well, first off, thank you guys again for letting us jump in here. If anybody's not real familiar, I know from looking at your roster, it looks like there's a handful of you guys that we're working with. Our company's called Reminder Media. We've been around for about 20 years. I will just mention this. If you know all about us, maybe you've used us for a couple of years in the past, took a break, there's a bunch of new stuff. So I know you see a lot of marketing ideas. Don't tune me out just yet. There might be some new things here that you guys are excited about. The one thing I wanted to just hit on up front, Ruben just said this, and I don't think I could agree more. The best way to generate business, the best way is looking at your sphere of influence and your past clients and thinking, hey, what is left untouched there? And what I see a lot is that's an area that most agents do something. It's not that there's nothing being done there, But we think that there's more opportunity. And so we're not here to replace everything you're doing, but if we can add on to that, if we can benefit what we're doing in terms of our follow-up and staying top of mind, the beautiful thing here is we can get referred even more often than you already are. And that's what we want to happen. So a couple quick stats. I'm not going to bore you guys with too many numbers, but these are some helpful things from the National Association. So look at this with me really quick. 60% of buyers last year, 67% of sellers either used an agent that they'd already done a transaction with previously, or what's actually more common is that they got referred. They got referred to that agent by someone they knew. Okay. This one should not surprise you. This is not the rocket science. This is the obvious. Hey, majority of these clients you're going after, there's some relationship that caused them to use the agent they did. Okay. Here's a little pop quiz. So you guys can unmute, yell at me, see if you got the answer right. If you were to guess, what percentage of sellers would you guess did not do this, but they instead found their agent online? Okay. So think this could be Zillow leads, Realtor.com, Facebook, Instagram, Google, any online source you could possibly name. Somebody call out here. What percentage of sellers do you think found their agent somewhere on the internet?
About
2%.
45%.
45%. We got a nice little spread. What was that other guess I heard?
Jeffrey.
Okay, from Jeffrey. Good. All right, I'll show you the answer. I heard a couple guesses getting yelled in there, so I like a little audience participation. The answer is 3%.
Oh,
The
wow.
answer is 3 stinking percent. So what's Jeffrey, just to your credit, your guess is actually closer than most of the guesses I get. So don't feel bad, right? But here's why I show this. People are going to go online to do their homework. When you look at where they're going to find their agent, though, I'm about to be 30 this month, which is a whole life crisis of my own that I won't get into. But when my wife and I chose an agent when we bought our home about 3 years ago, the first thing we did was, hey, we want to know we can trust them. Let's ask friends, neighbors, family, people from church. Hey, who'd you use? How did it go? That's what everybody's doing. And so, so here's the last stat I'll show you. Okay, this is what kind of drives us crazy, but also keeps us in business. So this is what the budget looks like for the average realtor. They will spend $0 per year building a relationship with any of their client base. So it's like, okay, we know that's super important, and yet just doesn't get the attention it deserves. Now, here's the caveat on this part. NAR doesn't include cookie cutter ideas here. So postcards, flyers, emails, social media, newsletter, all good things to do, right? There's a place for all those things. But NAR is going, okay, well, that's good. But they probably are going to get that stuff from another real estate agent or two, not to mention the roofer, the general contractor, the landscaper, financial advisor, right? Everybody sends them the same sort of cookie cutter things. What they're really measuring here is, do you do anything that feels different, that's unique when it comes to showing that client some value? Or is it kind of just the same, same old thing? And that's the case for most agents. It's not bad, but there's just not a lot that's really unique, that's different and thoughtful. So that's where we come in. We really want to help with that. And like I said, our goal here, the beautiful thing about this is we know your sphere and your past clients could refer you even more often. Even if that's like 95% of your business, there's still probably more there. And so that is our whole mission. Now, how do we do it is the big question, right? These branded magazines are really what's put us on the map. Okay, so update number 1. We've been doing American Lifestyle magazine for almost 20 years now, and we're still doing that one, okay? But there's 4 different magazines, and there's actually a 5th one that'll be coming late this year, it sounds like. The only difference between these is the articles, the themes, and the articles inside. Okay, so same price, same really good quality, same layout, same customization, which I'll show you really quick here. But you have some variety. So, if you like a business magazine for some of your commercial clients or investors, health and wellness magazine, the lifestyle magazine is pretty broad. And then this one's really, really taken off for us the past couple of years. It's called Good to Be Home. Good to Be Home. Is this one showing up okay, Ruben, that I switched over to?
Yeah.
Awesome. So this one's all home centric. So it makes a lot of sense in the real estate world. But here's how they're laid out. Just really quick, I'll show you this. Anywhere you see Stacy, that's where we're going to put you. So you're right there on the front cover. It's very obvious that way who this is coming from, so they don't just gloss over it and pass by. There's about 30 different cover options. So you can always pick something you like. This is kind of a fun issue. So every couple of years in the spring, we do what we call a pet edition. So there's some pet friendly stuff. So if you hate pets, there's some non-pet options. Okay. If you're a normal person, there's some fun pet friendly options there you could choose from. Then we go inside really quick. You'll see there's a letter to that recipient. This can say different things for individual recipients or groups. Okay. Doesn't have to, but if you're the type of person that likes to put a lot of personal detail in, you could literally say, dear Bill and Judy, congrats on retirement. Hope you guys are enjoying getting out on the golf course. Can't wait to see you guys this summer. Whatever you might want to say, but you could make it personal for each individual recipient or group if you want, or it could be the same for everybody. Okay. We'll see a couple of these pull-out cards. There's one here in the front. Another one in the back. We could do whatever you want with those. It could be a recipe, some kind of upcoming event invitation, call to action. We got all kinds of ideas, but something that you might want to slap on the fridge is the idea there. And then everything else inside the magazine is just nice content we put together. They are 48 pages, so I'm not going to go through the, every single page now. But the point is, it's got some meat to it. It's not just like a little pamphlet or brochure or something like that. And you're going to notice there's no other ads. Okay, so no other businesses, nobody else included in the magazine, just content that we've curated that we've seen they're going to enjoy and actually like getting this. It's not just like another ad that's hitting their mailbox, right?